our work session Monday, November 4th to order. The invocation given by Mr. Bailey and the pledge of allegiance given by Mr. Mike Ashburn.
Let's pray. Father God, thank you for tonight, Lord, and just allowing us to be here, Father, and we just thank you for the many things that are happening in this city, Father. We just ask you during this holiday season, Lord, Thanksgiving and Christmas, just to give us the time to pause, Lord, and just to enjoy our family and friends, Lord. We ask you to look out for our city employees during this time. Lord, just keep them safe from harm. We ask all this in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I added 2 items to the work session. One of them, item number 6, will be a resolution about the recycling building bid renovation. And then number 7 is about the airport grant money, where the funding is going to come from, which we passed that last week, but I don't believe we actually designated where the money is coming from. So we'll go to item number 1, discuss the Historic Preservation Commission. Mayor?
Yes, as you may or may not know, and Mr. Kimmer can get into the history, but the city has a Historic Preservation Committee. Currently there are no members on that. It's basically been inactive for a few years, but it is a recognized committee by the city. And we have some need in the very near future that this committee be in place, members be in place as we start looking at some buildings downtown area that will be undergoing renovation and so forth. And so it's just for information. I think Whitney will start advertising for people to petition that wants to be on this committee or commission. It's a 7-member board. And you've got a copy of what's the city, I guess, ordinance, yes. The word's in, been approved many years ago. And the city or the state requires, and Mr. Kimmer, you can chime in, if we have a historic district, we have to have a historic commission as well.
Correct. This was set up in Scottsboro originally in the late 70s, early 80s. The 2 historic districts are College Street, which is why, Patrick, you can't paint your house chartreuse, and the square, and some areas around the square. It's a benefit to the property owners, always has been in historic preservation. And because of some tax benefits, it outweighs giving up the right to paint your office a certain color and things of that nature. It requires you to go through a series of formalities before you make changes. It's a 7-member board. They all have to be residents of the city. I would recommend that it be advertised.
Whitney, there was a cutoff date.
No action.
Yeah.
Administrative.
You, Whitney, what's the?
So anyone interested in applying for this board should send me a letter applying writing to my office by, how long do you want to?
We said the Friday before the council meeting on the 18th. Yeah, the 15th, yes.
Should apply in writing by 4:30 on Friday, November 15th.
Thank you.
Go to item number 2, discuss a resolution for a one-time pay raise. Mr. Kimmer, you usually always talk about this.
Yes. People have asked over the years, why the devil does the city give a one-time pay raise for Christmas? Well, it's because the laws of the state of Alabama and the legislature in its infinite wisdom, they said we can't give Christmas bonuses. So this basically is a way around it and the way Christmas bonuses are handled by the city. It's a one-time practice.
Thank you.
And I believe the numbers that you have here, if I'm not mistaken, are exactly the same numbers as they were last year.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? If not, we'll move it to the ninth agenda. Item number 3 is the discuss the oil bid. Ms. Phillips, you can cover that.
On September the 23rd, y'all approved for the McPherson Company, y'all awarded the bid for the oil to the McPherson Company. They have since attached, you'll see the email, they rescinded their bid due to the inability to provide the replacement lubricant system. So we would like to award that to the next lowest bidder, which is Jackson County Oil.
Any discussion on that? We'll move that to the ninth agenda. Go to item number 4, discuss the HVAC maintenance bid. Ms. Phillips, you want to cover that?
This is a maintenance contract for HVAC for the whole city. We posted 1 bid, mailed 4 bids, and received 2 bids for the contract. Southern Heating and Cooling bid $12,825 for the year, and Central Air Conditioning bid $12,850 per year. So it's recommended that the bid be awarded to Southern Heating and Cooling.
Any discussion on that? No, we'll move that to the ninth agenda as well.
I got, is warranty the same?
Warranty? It's a service contract for
Okay, it's
PM work.
just-
Yes. PM work.
$25 a year difference.
I see it now, maintenance.
Go to item number 5, discuss the airport maintenance heater. There.
Yeah, if you remember, we had leased out our maintenance building to a company, and of course, back in the summer, they were anxious to get started, and we knew there was no heat in that building, and this was something that had to be addressed. Reached out to Roy when he was still at work, and he helped us with this, and it required a specialty type heater, since there's the aircraft that are in there still contain fuel. And so in his research, he and Rudder and myself met with Southern had helped us with this, and met with a manufacturer rep that deals with these type heaters that are installed in aircraft maintenance buildings. And so we had gotten a quote for them to install the heater. And it's here in your package.
$14,784.
Yes. And that come out of sales tax if approved.
That's what I was just about to
Yes.
ask. Okay. Any questions on that?
Something doesn't have to be bid.
Did not. That's it's a specialty item.
We'll put put that on tonight's agenda as well. Go to item number 6, resolution on recycle building bid renovation. Stacy, talk about that.
We had sent the bids out to include the baler floor that we've been talking about, the extension, and the building floor of the recycle facility. The bids came in way beyond what we anticipated, and at this time, don't feel like we can do the baler extension. We're gonna delay that and just rebid just the floor extension on the building itself. The bids came in, Whitney may remember the exact prices, I don't recall off the top of my head. It's way out of
Yeah,
sync where we were at.
that's, yeah, our recommendation to reject the bid.
Were these bids for the baler expansion as well?
They were, what ended up happening when we got the engineer involved and they redone the design on the extension of that floor, we feel like that's where it just went out of hand on us as far as money wise. Is why we're asking to reject them, and we'll just negotiate or redo the bid on the recycle building.
Okay. Any questions on that? No, thanks, Stacy. Item number 7, the airport grant money funding. We passed that our last meeting, but we didn't define where that money was coming from. So I'd like to put that on the agenda and recommend that money come from the money we got back from the refinancing of the bond. Any questions on that? No, we'll move it over. Give us just a couple of minutes to move everything over to the council meeting and we'll get started with it. Call the Scottsboro Council meeting Monday, November 4th to order. We'll dispense with formalities and go to a roll call. Ms. Wells, will you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Richard Bailey?
Here.
Mr. Greg Mustern?
Here.
Mr. Gary Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Mike Ashburn?
Here.
Mr. Patrick Stewart?
Here. Thank you. We'll go to the adoption of the agenda. Before we do that, I just want to make sure that everybody has the same agenda that I have in front of me. There's 10 items. We'll start with number 4 because the first 3 are printed out. First one is the ordinance 608, 609, water, sewer, and gas and water franchises. Number 5 is a one-time pay raise resolution. Number 6 is the oil bid. Number 7 is the HVAC maintenance bid. Number 8 is the airport maintenance heater. Number 9 is to reject and rebid the recycling for the renovation. And number 10 is the airport grant money funding. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. We'll go to approval of previous minutes from October 21st and October 28th, 2019. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. There is no old business, so we'll go to new business. First item is the library board appointments. We announced that we had 2 vacancies already, and Carrie Bradford resigned on 10/22/2019, so technically we have 3 vacancies. but we need to fill our vacancy, which expires October 2020. So with that, do I have any nominations for the 2 vacancies? We'll do this separate. We'll do the 2 vacancies, and then we'll do the 1 to fill Carrie's vacancy. So do I have any recommendations or motions for the 2 vacancies?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Deanna Hughes and put Sandra Harrell.
So I have a motion to reappoint Deanna Hughes and Sandra Herring. Any others for those two vacancies? If not, we'll close that out. So do I have a motion to approve reappoint Deanna Hughes and Sandra Herring to those 2 appointments?
I make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. So Deanna Hughes was reappointed and Sandra Herring was appointed. So now for the vacancy for Carrie Bradford. Do I have a nomination for that?
I nominate Sue Moore.
Any other nominations? If not, we'll close them. Do I have a motion to approve Sue Moore to fill Carrie Bradford's spot?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. So Sue Moore fills in for Carrie Bradford. Thank you. Go to item number 2, council appointments to the Tourism Advisory Board. I have an appointment, it's Vicki Sanders.
There's 2 slots at this time, or one?
Who all 3? Yours and Mr. Bailey's.
Mr. Bailey, you have them?
I'm appointing Tracy Phillips.
Mike, you
I'm
have
going
them?
to be Vicki Watts.
Thank y'all. Go to item number 3, announce museum commission vacancies. Can you read that?
Lisa Williams, Joan Raskus, and Reed Henshaw's terms on the museum commission have expired. These are 5-year terms. Anyone interested should apply in writing to the city clerk's office by 4:30 on Friday, November 15th, 2019.
Thank you. Go to item number 4, the ordinance 608, 609, the water, sewer, and gas franchise and the water franchises. Mr. Kinnaman?
And you have before you the 2 ordinances which normalize and formalize what you did at the last meeting. These are the ordinances that would be published in the newspaper as required by statute. They are exactly the same as the previous franchise agreements. And will be published in the Daily Sentinel as required by law and become effective for 30 years thereafter publication.
Thank you. So that, do I have a motion to approve the ordinances?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
You could do a roll call, please.
Okay.
Just for the record.
Any other discussion? If not, Ms. Phillips, will you do a roll call vote?
Mr. Richard Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Greg Ashburn,
Yes.
Mr. Gary Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Mike Ashburn,
Yes.
Mr. Patrick Stewart.
Yes. Thank you. Go to item number 5, one-time pay raise resolution. Mr. Kinnaman covered that in the work session, something that we do every single year, so. Do I have a motion to approve one-time pay raise?
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Go to item number 6, oil bid. It's recommended that it go to Jackson County Oil. Do I have a motion to approve that the oil bid go to Jackson County Oil?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Go to item number 7, the HVAC maintenance bid. It was recommended by the bid review committee that the bid be awarded to Southern Heating and Cooling as the lowest responsible bidder that met specifications. So with that being said, do I have a motion to approve Southern Heating and Cooling?
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to table that till we can actually bid it. Is that the motion?
We bid it.
This one must be.
Okay. Yes, I'm sorry, I'll take that back. Yeah, that's the next item, I'm sorry.
I do that regularly.
Go ahead, proceed on.
I'll make the motion to accept.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Go to item number 8, the airport maintenance heater.
That's the one I'd like to make a motion to table till it's actually bid.
I have a motion to table the airport maintenance heater bid. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I'd like to ask Roy about it. Since the mayor said y'all been heating on this already, or did they come out and are they the, like I say, most qualified to put this kind of heater in, or the only ones that know how to?
Yes, sir. We were concerned with the fuel in these facilities about an open flame for a gas heater.
Yes.
And so I did some research, found the code regulations, and basically it recommended you get a PE to look at that installation and have a recommendation. So I contacted Southern Heating Cooling. They have an associate out of Birmingham that was familiar with their craft installations. He came up, we went through it with him, and this was their recommendation. So we were trying to move forward, something that was safe, but affordable. The issue you got up there with that big hangar is 2 little doors, and every time they open those doors to move aircraft in and out, you're gonna lose all the heat. And so the only other method that we knew of would be put an electric one in there, which is gonna be very time consuming to get it heated back up. We thought a gas blower would be much more effective than economical. And so this gentleman had a model that would fit that application, so we rely on his expertise to help us put it in there and make it safe, so we can get these guys going. As we discussed back in the summer when they first started, it wasn't much concern, about the heat, but now we've had some 30-degree nights. Those guys do a lot of work late afternoon and evening because they work during the day as far as the piloting planes. So they really need some heat. It's cold air. The quickest way we could do that is to get these guys to come up with a recommendation of something that would fit this application and be safe. So that's why
Your suggestion, this is the best thing to do?
yes, sir, I do.
I will send my motion. I just want to make sure, I didn't know if there's anybody else in town that would like to bid on it, but the work you've done, that's fine.
Yeah, we can do some research to make sure.
Been about 2 months doing all this.
And another thing on that I like to add to it is that we're up against the time slot on it too, because next Wednesday, high temperature is supposed to be 30. And like Roy said, we've been meeting and working on this. It's an 8,000 square foot building. And the difference in a gas heater inside and a gas heater outside is kind of more expensive, but it has to be outside because of open flame.
Sure.
As the mayor and Roy both stated, that those aircraft have fuel in them. And there've been a couple of hangars that I know of recently that burned down because they had improper heaters inside the hangar, running up into the $1 million in liability. So not only are we trying to make sure that they have enough warmth to work And all they're saying is if it gets to 62 degrees, that's fine with them. They don't want it to be like summer. But they got to be able to work, like we said, when they open them big doors. If y'all been out there and seen the doors, when you open the doors, you're gonna lose all your heat. But they have to do that to get a plane out and another plane in, which they can service and work on about 5 to 6 airplanes at one time with an 8,000 square foot hangar. The hangar was built with insulation, so it's insulated pretty good. You know, but this is probably one of the last things for maintenance wise, that hangar that the city will have to do. The rest of it, there's a couple of leaks and they're working with time on getting the leaks fixed because it's just set dormant for 12 years. But this, if this had been done 12 years ago, it would have been a lot cheaper. And I looked at that bid and I was at the meeting when we talked it over, and it is high. But when you figure 8,000 square feet in an open hangar, to be able to warm it and do it safely, this is pretty well the way to go. And the time that we're running into now is if we can order it tomorrow, it'll be 4 weeks before it gets here. Then there's a lot of installation that has to be done to put it outside, bring it inside, bring the heat inside. So, you know, it's kind of, I think if you put it out for bid, you probably wouldn't get a bid on it anyway, because it's a specialty item. And it's the work we've had to put into it to get it to this point where we're ready to order it. It's just one of those things.
I completely understand.
Thank both of y'all for the hard work.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we have a bid rescinded, so
Motion.
to come out of the sales tax.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Go to item number 9, reject. This is to reject and rebid the recycling renovation. So do I have a motion to reject and rebid the recycling renovation?
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Good. Item number 10, the airport grant money funding. Like I said, we passed that at our last council meeting, but we didn't specifically say where that $200,000 was going to come from, or $250,000 was going to come from. So I'd like for us to vote on it coming out of that bond refinancing money that we did. So that do I have a motion to state that the money is going to come from the bond refinancing money?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Delegations. Gary Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart, council members, citizens. That's what I want to talk to you briefly about. I've been the First Monday coordinator, citizen volunteer coordinator for about, I don't know, since 2012, so it's about 7 years, maybe a little longer. It is time, I'm cutting back. I very seldom attend First Monday. I've been taking all the calls, and anybody that calls me up, I'll give them information about the event. And I'm going to retract from that, and I'm asking y'all to, of course, y'all have a Ms. Nippers, a events coordinator now for the city, and also the Main Street program is underway. I'm asking y'all to look into basically being a little more proactive through the Main Street program and your events coordinator in that concerning First Monday. First Monday needs advertisement in a broad areas badly, you know. The last advertisement, I paid for it myself on Charter Communications when Charter was out there instead of Spectrum now. But it needs to have advertising. The city, y'all need to take a proactive stance on advertising and supporting First Monday. It's lacking. The Chamber of Commerce does advertise First Monday. The state of Alabama also on their tourism page, and in the pamphlets they put out advertises First Monday. But I'm asking y'all to, I said I'm going to back away from that. And since there is an events coordinator, Ms. Nippers, I mentioned to her, I spoke to the mayor about it, I spoke to Mr. Stewart earlier in the month about it, about talking to y'all about this. To basically, I'm asking the city of Scottsboro on behalf of First Monday vendors to take a little more active role in it from y'all's standpoint and do some advertising on First Monday, either in television or in print media, across radio and whatnot. But I'll help in any way I can. My phone number is on the, my personal phone number is on the city website. I'm asking you to place, however you want to do that, you know, your events coordinator's phone number. I'll stay to the end of the year. In other words, the 1st of January, I'll cover you in any way that I can help on this. I'll also cover you, whether it be the Main Street program or helping Meg out in any way I can. But it's been an interesting experience. The vendor participation at trade days, at First Monday, is waning considerably. And within this day of time, you know, we're no longer an agricultural community, and it has to be advertised for it to be a successful program. And it has been successful in the past. And whatever you do, whatever we do as citizens, whatever y'all do as council members, it cannot be a political football. It has been in the past. You've got to stay away from making First Monday trade days political football. Just don't do it. It is an asset for the city. There are many cities that would love to have such a historical program. It is the longest running historical event in Jackson County, you know, here in Scottsboro. Basically starting, officially started about 1902 and got a lot of promotion from the news media, the papers locally from 1908 on up until through the 1900s. But it's got to have advertising. It's got to be promoted by the city, the chamber, which is promoting it. And so the Main Street program is an excellent program to promote that. I appreciate that opportunity I've had to working with y'all and promoting First Monday. But it needs to go additional step at this time. Thank you. And if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Anyone have any questions? Thank you, Gary.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks.
Further reports, Mayor?
A couple of different things. I want to go back to the rejecting the bids on the Baylor, at the Baylor building, extension for the addition for the recycling building and the other. As we were researching this, Mr. Ledwell had gotten a preliminary quote for the floor at the recycling building addition, and then we've also had gotten a preliminary quote for cutting the holes in for the doors on the side of that. And then as we looked at that, we were hoping to pick up some additional floor space by extending that suspended floor. And like he said earlier, the bids came in about twice what we had anticipated, and so obviously we rejected that. As we move forward, he's going to reconnect with the people that gave us a preliminary quote for the floor for the recycling building, and it was a different person to actually cut the holes and open that area up. And we thought by combining all the work it'd be a better price, but obviously it didn't. So he's going to be exploring that as we move forward. So we're not sure that we'll have just one lump sum bid as we go forward. The other thing, I had left you a map, and I want to do a brief update on where we are with the Goose Pond property. As you know, we had talked about that back in the spring, early summer, and we've had some people interested in this. So there was a committee that I had put together that looked at this, and we looked at, had a lot of discussions, meetings, and so we put out a request for proposals in August. So I just want to touch on that activity today. In August, before the actual deadline for the RFP to come in, we had 5 different developers that I had communications with. 4 of those 5 developers actually came and visited the site and met with me and different individuals there was more than one meeting, and we had shared the appraisal on that property with everybody. So we had quite a bit of activity. When it came down to it, we actually had one formal RFP and another one that submitted some information afterwards, and we've continued to explore our options. And we've had multiple meetings, and I think some of y'all I know have been in attendance, and due to schedule conflicts couldn't meet with some of the others. But in September and October, we did meet with two different groups and had site visits. And as we moved forward, it's been quite interesting that the two different groups of developers, originally we were wanting to do something, and we still do want something that would enhance what we have at Goose Pond Colony, and then look at our options for the city-owned island property. And as we've moved forward, and as the developers have done their due diligence and reached out to TVA, as we realize there's not as much, I guess, public use or for private use, I should say, for potential home sites as we originally thought. And this map is a real good indicator. Originally, we thought, based on the appraisal that was done a few years back, it identifies as the city owning a little over 7 miles of shoreline there on the river. But after you start breaking it down to the different zones and restrictions from TVA, the developable property for a homeowner is 0.98 miles, so basically 1 mile. So we've got 6 miles that have restrictions of this shoreline of the city-owned property. Some of it that the city owns is really sort of protected area, and then others, as you can see, have even more restrictions. We are going to be meeting with some TVA officials in the near future to hear from them the do's and don'ts of these restrictions, instead of depending on a developer, even though the developers have both been in contact with TVA and had discussions. But one thing I wanted to stress, as these two developers have sort of gone through the property and looked at their investors and participants, we were trying to package it all together, but one is sort of come to surface that wants to concentrate his efforts more on Goose Pond Colony and what it can do to help us move forward with a hotel, convention center, retail developments, restaurants, so forth. And one feels extremely confident, and I think in the next couple of months we'll hear more about that. And the other developer wants to focus more on the housing component, whether it's apartment complex, condominiums, or actually some residential properties. So I just wanted to bring y'all up to speed. There's been a lot of discussions and a lot of meetings and a lot of phone calls and conference calls, and I just want to let me publicly acknowledge the people that's been involved with this. It's not just been me, but representing Goose Pond Colony's Matt Lockmiller and Lyle Sosby and Ken Looney, their attorney. From the EDA standpoint, Sheila Shepherd, Nathan Lee, and Rudder's been involved, and then Rothall with water, sewer, gas, because that's a big part of all this development has been Roy. And then from the council, Mr. Bailey and Mr. Ashburn have been real active. So I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed with what's going on there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ashburn?
I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Mashburn?
Just recognize Vaughn and her group over to Redcon, the work they did for Halloween. I think they had like 1,100 some kids come through, and just really appreciate that. That's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey?
I don't have anything tonight, but having Mr. Level here tonight, I'm just going to ask him to give us kind of an update on recycling, how it's going now.
The plastic, of course, is on route now, and it seems like our numbers are increasing. I haven't looked at the weights in a while, but I can just tell by the amount of roll-offs. So participation is increasing quite good on the plastic side. We're looking forward to getting, a lot of folks are calling still about steel and aluminum Our plan, as soon as these buildings get started, we're supposed to in the next 3 to 4 weeks, we will get those added and get those bags out also. Again, participation is increasing. We've got quite a bit of plastic already on the yard. So we're just looking forward to the building where we can get this stuff packaged together and try to get it sold. It's our plan. It's going really well.
Thank you. I appreciate your work on that. Appreciate everybody coming out.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mr. Stewart?
I really don't have anything tonight, but thank you all for coming.
Thank you. I have a couple of things. We will not have a meeting next Monday in consideration of Veterans Day, and then we'll have a work session and council meeting on the 18th. And then we'll wrap everything up for the month of November. Another thing is, I've had some questions about, Mayor, about the handbook. Is there any tentative date?
I need to get with you and see what your availability is.
Okay. We can get that fixed.
Yeah.
All right. Just thank everybody for coming out tonight. Try to stay warm the next few days, and next week it's supposed to, I believe, get really, really cold. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. No, we're adjourned. Thank you.